If you've ever thought that, like most of us, I don't get music theory and I don't understand it, then I'm going to show you only need a few key parts to actually make decent beats. And it doesn't cap your creativity, it expands it. Throughout this free course, I'm going to take you from the absolute basics, like making simple chords and melodies, all the way to being able to finish and make a full beat, alongside giving you free tools to help you stay consistent, as that's the main problem producers face, break down beats and actually develop the sound that you want to, and improve as a producer. Basically giving you the foundational skill set to become a great producer. And I do want to be real with you, this video has been filmed in different places, one in Thailand, one in England, and that's why I'm going to give it for free. It was going to be a paid course, but it's packed full of value, but I just think the production value could have been a bit better, so I'm going to be real with you and give it for completely free. It's packed with everything I wish I knew when I started, but yeah, let's get into it.
Right, this is technically stage 0. This is where we're going to set everything up and keep you organized going forward on the course so you don't get too lost. And it's just going to make your life 10 times easier as a producer if you do this first. So first step is to accept the invite of the Discord link that you would have got in the email. Just think of this as a hub where you can communicate with other people, you can talk directly to me, you can get feedback on your loops and just stuff that you're improving on, and it's just going to be a community of like-minded people that want to improve. But yeah, have a play around with that and then we'll go on to the next steps. Okay, you might already have this, but if you don't, let's install FL Studio. Now it's dead simple. Just go to the FL Studio website, click install for your Mac or Windows or whatever you're using. Look, this is going to be my official response. Make sure you get the official version of FL Studio so you can follow along and you have the right stuff, because sometimes I'll be doing something and you might not have it if you have the correct version, because you won't be able to update it. But if you do have something like that and you don't want to get the full version, just keep in mind that mine and yours might be a little bit different, but you can still follow along, so don't worry too much about it. So next, if you have an interface, you need to do this. Once you've installed FL Studio and done those previous steps, make sure you plug in your interface and then go to the audio settings in FL Studio and then select your device. But first, you do need to install the drivers of your actual interface. Now, they'll be different for each interface. So just type in the brand of your interface and the model number. You should be able to find it either on the box or underneath the actual interface itself. Find where the drivers are and download them, and then you'll be able to use the interface, no problem. If you have any issues with that, let me know and I'll try my best to help you. And I'll also try direct you in the right places to get help for it, because each interface is different and there's so many of them. Same if you have a MIDI. Normally MIDIs are just plug and play, literally plug it straight in and you can play it. You have to enable it sometimes. If you have to enable it, you just do this. But if you don't have that, I'm about to give you some sauce, because what you can do is you can actually use your typing keyboard as a piano. If you do want to do that, literally just click this button here on FL Studio and that's it, it's sorted, it's done. And the way you can play it is, say for example, you've got Q, W, E, R, T. Put your finger on Q, E, and T, and that's basically a chord. Okay, next is installing plugins. Now, I've got a few free plugins that I've put onto a Google Drive for you to download, just to make it easier rather than you having to go and find loads of different ones all over the internet. Now, you can do that, but I'd recommend sticking to this list for now. So if you just click the link down below on the Google Drive, you'll be able to download the ones that you want. You don't have to get all of them, but I'd recommend at least getting a piano VST that I've got on there. Alright, so when you've downloaded your plugins, to actually install them into FL Studio, click Options, click this. Now you want to scan where your plugins actually are. Press Find Install Plugins and it will scan them. And then once they're on here, you can literally just go back to your mixer and then find the plugin that you've installed. Also, I wanted to say I don't condone cracked VSTs, and I want you to be aware of these websites so you don't go on them. You got Rutracker, which is a completely Russian website where you can translate it to English and you can download plugins from there, but you shouldn't do that. And you've got Kits for Beats, that's obviously for drum packs, which you definitely should not do, or for download. I'm just warning you about them because people in the comments will always talk about it and people in the Discord will talk about it as well. So remember to stay away from them, yeah? If you want any other information on these sites and how to avoid them, give me a DM and I'll speak to you about it. The next step is probably the most important, especially for me. You need to make sure you're organized and staying consistent with everything in this course. So you have to be organized. So I want you to have a folder and just call it MBG Music for now, and everything we do is going to go into that folder, basically. Your projects, your drum packs, anything you download and anything that you save, I need you to put in that folder so you know exactly where it is. Messy folders equals messy beats and then beats that you'll never finish. Trust me, I used to do that and it's the worst way possible. Spend 5 minutes now, save 5 hours later. Now with drum kits, what I've done is in the Google Drive, I've basically put a load of free Reddit ones that you can go and get. There's some trap ones, drill ones. I recommend the Lunch 77 because Lunch 77 is just the best on Reddit. Now you can go on Reddit on r/kits or on YouTube. There's loads of free stuff on there where you can just type in free drum kits and there's loads you can download. But I recommend downloading the ones that I've got on the link. They are completely free. They're not made by me. I've just put them in a place so it's easy for you to get them. Once you've downloaded your drum kits onto your computer, go up to Options here, click File. Now wherever you've saved your drum kit, just click this, find it, press Select Folder, and that's it. It'll be saved there. And all you need to do is come over here, press Refresh, and it'll be saved here in whatever you've named it. Okay, next is an external app that I need you to get on your phone. If you've got a smartphone, I'm assuming you have a smartphone. You can get it on your desktop if you need to. It's called Habitica, and that's basically how we're going to track the progress of everything and kind of gamify it a little bit. It's called gamification. That's the term I'm going to use for this. So I'm going to set you tasks and daily tasks that you can add to Habitica to make sure you're staying on track of what you're actually doing. You'll get XP, you can level up your character, you can join the group that we're in. As you go through all the sections of the course, you'll get more added to your daily tasks. And that will just make you better as a producer because you'll be staying consistent because you'll want to level up your character and you'll also be keeping to your own word. It's just way better to do this. Trust me, this is an important part of the course that you need to follow. If you don't follow any of the other parts, at least follow this because this will keep you consistent. So for now, just install Habitica, make a character, don't do much else. Just get it installed and have it pinned to your home screen of your phone. If you've got an iPhone, you can do that easily. I don't know about Androids, but who really has an Android, let's be honest. Okay, now you're fully set up and you can go to module 1. See you there. Okay, we're now onto chord progressions. More exciting stuff. And we're going to use the scale of A minor. If you go to A minor like this, click this, scale highlighting, and then we want to click A minor natural. Well, it'll say A minor natural Alorium, but don't worry about that. Now, you can select any of these, but for this tutorial, just follow along with me. Now, first, we're just going to build a basic triad, and that just means 3 notes turn into a chord. So let's start on A, which is our root note. Now, skip 1 note in the scale, put it to C, skip another note in the scale, put it to E, and that's it. You actually have a chord right there. And it's a very good foundation to start at. With this skipping and stacking method, you can actually make so many different chords, especially like 7th chords by just skipping another note in the scale and putting it on there. It's very common in R&B and just making it more jazzy or more emotional. And we can add another, which is a 9th chord, then another 11th chord and 13th chord, and then so on. You get the idea. You're not doing any crazy theory here, but it is music theory. It might seem so simple, but this is how music theory can actually help you make better beats. And you're going to see that as you go through this and how quick and easy it actually can be because you can follow the music theory and also use your ears to make more unique stuff. Because at the end of the day, if it sounds good, it's good. Now, what I want you to do at the end of this session is I just want you to play around for about half an hour and just make simple chords using this method. You don't have to just start on the root note, which is obviously A in this scale, but just play around with it. We're not on making chord progressions yet. I just want you to make chords. See what they sound like and go from there. But once you feel comfortable and you played around a little bit, feel free to move on to the next section, which actually goes into chord progressions, which is basically how you make anything sound like a normal song. All right, now we're actually on to the good stuff. This is scale degrees and chord progressions. Now, if you've seen in my other videos, you've probably seen me say, oh, 1, 4, 5 progression or 1, 6, 7 progression, and it makes 0 sense to you. Well, let's break that down. So for this one, you can just use the same FL file you were messing around with the chord progressions on. The easiest way for me to explain scale degrees to you is like this. So you've got your scale, you've got 7 notes in that scale, and if I say a 1, 4, 5 progression, all that means is notes on the first note of your scale, the 4th note of your scale, and then the 5th note of your scale. That's all that means. And then you build chords on top of that like I showed you with the skipping and stacking method. Now, just a quick thing about scale degrees as well. When you see them, they'll either be in a minor or a major, and you'll know that if they're uppercase or lowercase. So lowercase is minor, uppercase is major. So let's just make a really common chord progression. So a really common one in hip hop and trap is the 1-4 progression. Now, all you do, like I said before, we're in A minor still. First note of your scale, do an A minor chord. Then let's go over here and put our first note on the 4th note of the scale, which is this one here. Build a chord, and that's it. Hit play, and you've literally made a chord progression. Now, this is very basic, I understand that, but this is the foundation of everything you're going to be building going forward. Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to build your own chord progression. Spend a lot of time on this. I want you to add it to your Habitica to every day. I want you to make chord progressions. Now, this will be a daily thing. And it's just going to be easy because I just want you to go on it every day for half an hour, play around, make some chord progressions, save it in your folder, forget about it to the next day. Just play around and really hear them and see what you can do with them. Don't do anything too complicated yet. Just make different chord progressions. Down below, I'm going to have a sheet of all the most common chord progressions in hip hop and rap at the minute, and you can download them and actually play around with them, but build your own as well. Okay, so next we need to add some variety to the chords because we showed you the basics. Now, this is a bit more advanced stuff that I don't talk about on my TikTok because it'd just be too long, basically. So first up is inversions. Now, it might sound confusing, but it's really simple. Also, for this one, you can go back into the same FL file you've been making the chord progressions and chords. So I just want you to make a simple chord again, starting on the root note A, build up from there, make a triad chord. Now what I want you to do this time is I want you to move the 3rd, which is C, move it down an octave. Now that's a first inversion. The chord is still the same. All you've done is you've moved that down an octave, and that's called a first inversion. Okay, so put it back up. Now what I want you to do is grab the 5th, which is the top note of that, bring that down, and that's now called a second inversion because you put the 5th, which is the top note, down an octave. Now, the reason you do this is to make chord progressions sound smoother, and you can play around with this. I really want you to play around with different chords and do inversions, because you can do inversions on all different types of chords. The thing to remember with inversions is sometimes if you're breaking down a song and you realize, oh, it is a 1-4 progression, but it just doesn't sound right. try play around with the inversions first and see if you can actually get it to sound how you want it to sound. Because with inversions, when you put the third or the fifth down an octave and you change it and make it an inversion, you don't change the bass note of the chord. The bass note of the chord is still the same. All you're doing is just inverting the chord. A chord is only inverted if you change the bottom note of the chord, and that means you've inverted it. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is voicing, which is similar, but you're not changing the bass note of the chord in this one, which is the bottom note. All you're doing with this one is just placing the notes more spread out or just in different ways but in the same positioning. For example, if we've got a simple triad chord here, we can move the third up an octave and that'll make it open and sound more melodic. I personally like making chords like this. It's really good to make emotional stuff with opening your chord up like that. Next is augmented and diminished chords. You might not use these too much, especially augmented, you might not use that, but you probably will use diminished chords if you're making darker stuff. So a good way to explain it is that these add tension and misery in the best way possible. For example, let's take our A minor chord that we've been playing with a lot, which is like this. Now to make it diminished, all we do is drop it down one semitone like this, and that's a diminished chord. They feel a bit chaotic and unstable, like something's about to happen. It's perfect for dark beats. Okay, so now this is an augmented chord. Let's start at the same positioning. Okay, for an augmented chord, still in the A minor scale.
Now all I want you to do is put the fifth up one semitone. That's an augmented chord.
Now this will sound kind of weird, but I'm just telling you because you need to know these type of chords. If you hear someone else talk about them, I want you to know what they are, and you will use them now and again. Now this is a bonus tip in this video, and I know it's kind of cheating to be honest, but go onto FL Studio on your piano roll and press Alt and then P. It's going to bring up a chord generator. Now, the reason why I'm telling you to use this now and again is because you can learn different chord progressions from using this, because it will just generate loads, and it's actually really useful. If you're more experienced, I'd say you can use this now and again to overcome beat block, because it's just a good tool to have. And it is free because it comes with FL Studio. Obviously, if you've got the updated version, if you've got cracked versions, I don't know if you're going to have it. Do not rely on this, please, because otherwise you'll just become a terrible producer, because you're always just relying on not your actual brain, but just something to generate chord progressions for you, which I do now and again. If I'm getting stuck or I just can't make beats, that's what I use. Okay, finally ready for our next Habitica task. It's going to be a daily task, and it's quite a big one. So now what you're going to do, you're going to break down the chord progressions of your favorite songs using something called Chordify. Now, basically what this site does, it allows you to search a song that you want to look at, and then look at the MIDI and the actual chord progressions. Now, if you pay like £5 a month, I think it is, you can actually download the MIDI file. I do that, but you don't need to. All you do is you literally just look at the song, look at the chord progression, write down your BPM key and all the little things in this chart here, and I want you to do one a day. Now add that to your Habitica, you'll be able to see how to do that here. The XP on this, we're going to have it as hard because it's quite a difficult thing to do, and I want you to do it every single day for at least 30 days, and I promise you after this, you'll be a much better producer. But it's got to be songs that you're actually wanting to produce, so it's like active listening. So I want you to enter the BPM, the key, the chord progression, and log that every day. And then there's also a section as well for any other notes that you want to write down that you feel or think about the song. But yeah, the sheet will be downloadable down below, and you can just get that and completely fill it out. But yeah, I know this is a bigger section, but this is the main bit of the course because you need to know these things. So make sure you go back and re-listen if you need to, and then message me in the Discord if you actually need help. All right, next we're on to melodies. Now I'm going to make this as simple as I possibly can because melodies are just hard. So what is a melody? Basically, it's just a musical sentence. One note at a time. You're not just placing notes, you're communicating. You're using your scale, rhythm, and emotion to say something. So I want you to use one of the FL files where you built up a chord progression, and we can use that for this. So starting out when you're making your melody, play your chord progression. I want you to just listen a second, just to listen for a couple of minutes, in fact, and see if you can hum out a melody. If you can, that's really good. Because if you can hum out a melody, it will sound way better than just clicking it in and randomly pressing stuff. Obviously, you can do that, but if something hits you straight away, like the inspiration hits you right away, try translate it to FL Studio as quick as possible. Now, you can do that by ear, which is the best way to do it. But obviously, because you're already in scale, it'd be easier to find the notes. So I'm going to show you some examples of how to make some good melodies from my best beats, just so you can actually see it in action and how it works. And I want you to apply it to your own chords after. Okay, so this is a guitar melody that I have. Have a listen to it. So it's actually really basic. All it is, it's just a 1/4 progression like I've shown you previously in the chords module. Now all I've done, I've just started out with a simple triad chord. Then once I got the triad chord, I basically put the third, which is the middle note, up an octave. And then once I've done that, I just strummed them out. But I didn't strum them out in the normal way. I strummed them out like this instead. And then I just basically walked down the scale. But by walking down the scale, I know that if I put a note that's right next to the chord notes, like this one here, then it's going to sound like it's got more tension. So I have one note that's right next to another note. That builds tension. Then I have a passing note, and then I have one of the chord notes as well. So that's just the first chord. And then when I go to the fourth chord, which is built on the fourth note of the scale, in C minor, I just did the exact same thing here, look. So a lot of the time, it's about repeating patterns in different ways. Okay, I have a little bonus tip for you here. If you want to cheat a bit, try this. So you've got your chords. Now what I want you to do is copy your chords and put them into the sampler rack. Now copy them up and down an octave until you've covered most of the screen. Now go back into your VST. Now, whenever you're placing notes, you'll be able to see the ghost notes of your chords. So you'll be placing them within chord notes, and that will just make the melody sound much better rather than just placing them within the scale. You've like honed it in, so you've gone from the scale straight to the chord notes. And that way then, pretty much, whatever you play will be quite melodic. Obviously, you still got to put some thought into it. I would always recommend just humming out your melodies and actually placing the notes based on what you hear with your ear. But these are just some little things to help you get going with melodies. So remember to keep it simple. If you're able to hum it and actually keep it in your head and hear it over and over again for hours, then it's a good melody. Okay, so what I want you to do now is add this to your habitica. All you're doing is adding on to what you were doing. So every day you've been making chords. Now I want you to make chords and a melody. So make your chords and make a melody on top. So now you're making a full loop. So add that to your habitica. I'm basically just adding on to what you've already done. So you're adding more rules to what you're doing. Okay, so now you see the drum sequence. So what I want you to do is I want you to load some drums in. Now, if you don't have any drums, just go to the link down below and get the free drum kit from the Google Drive. It's not something that we've made, but it's from Reddit. Now, you can go on Reddit and find more drum kits as well. You'll see all the things on the screen now. Now, if you don't know how to get your drums actually into FL Studio, I'm going to show you how quickly. So you want to go to this file setting here. Now, what you want to do is you want to set up a folder called drum kits inside the folder that you've been saving all your stuff to. Click this, then just find the folder where you put the drum kit and select folder. Then once you've done that, click this little refresh button here and it will refresh it and you'll have your drum kits there. Now to load in a sound, just click one, right click, open a new channel, or you can just drag it across and it will load straight in. Okay, so just to help you understand drums a bit more, I'm going to start at the very beginning. First put on the metronome, I'm at 85 beats per minute, and that basically means when I press play, that this is going to hit 85 beats per minute. So every minute it's going to hit 85 beats. Now if you've ever heard a rapper say, oh, I'm going to spit 16 bars, this is how they know that. So count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one bar. And the tempo of the song is going to be based on the genre that you're making, and that's how you're going to get different feels for different songs. So another little tip before we jump into actually making the drums is that most of the time people are making drum loops in 4 or 8 bars. You can obviously do way more than that if you wanted to. You could do a whole 16 bar loop. It's just more to think about. But to start with, I want you to just make things in about 4 and 8 bar loops. So just for example, I'm just going to quickly click something in so you can see it visually. Right, so you see this drum pattern here? This is a 4 bar loop. Alright, okay, let's actually get into it now. Alright, so now we've got everything set up. I'm going to show you how to make different genres drum patterns, so it's much easier for you to make beats, because most tutorials, they'll just show you how to do one genre and not really show you how to get the sound or swing for each one. So I'm going to start with boom bap, and boom bap's normally anywhere from 80 to about 95 BPM. Sometimes it could be a bit slower, sometimes it could be a bit faster. Obviously, these are just guidelines, and music breaks guidelines all the time. There's no right or wrong, but this is just the standard. So obviously for this, load in some boom bap sounds that you've got in your drum kit. I've already got some laid out here. Set your BPM to about 85 BPM. That's what I'm using in this one. Now place your kick down on the 1, which is the grayed out notes here. And then place your snare on the red ones here, like this. Now let's make it a full 4 bar. So basically in boom bap, the snare hits on the 2 and the 4. So if you have your metronome on like this, you count 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in between the 2 and the 4, you want to put your kicks. So on the 1 is the kick. And in between the 3 and the 4, I'll put another kick here. And that's kind of how you want to do it. You can even add a double one here like that. I'll play it again so you can hear it. Then just repeat it. Another thing you want to be aware of is make sure that your velocities are up on your kicks. Make these ones a bit lower. See, by making this velocity lower, it gives it a bit more of a realistic feel, as in like you played it in yourself. One other thing as well, go to your master and you want to put a soft clipper on there. Now we're getting into using drums, you want to be doing this on every time you're making a beat. And to be fair, you should do it with melodies as well, but it's mainly for drums because it stops them peaking so high. And it just makes them hit a bit harder as well. Let's bring the velocities of the snares up. Obviously do this by ear, but this is just what I'm doing. Let's add in some hi-hats. Now right click on your hi-hat and go to every 2-step. It will sound like this. Now it'll sound quite robotic at first, so what I want you to do is right click on it, press Alt and then Q, and you'll have a whole list of swing to choose from. And basically what that means is, it means at the minute, when you press every 2-step, it will stay completely on the grid. But if you choose one of these, it will take it slightly off grid and give it a bit more of a realistic feel, like an actual human's playing it rather than a computer. So I'm going to choose 16 loose feel. You can mess around with the start time like this, then press accept, play around with the velocities. Now hear the difference. way more groovy. And that's it, you got a basic boom bap pattern. Now before I move on to the next one, I just wanted to say, obviously you can add a lot more to this. This is just a basic boom bap drum pattern. I'm just showing you how to get the groove and the swing. Just showing you the basics to get started. This is just to get you making drums. Okay, so moving on to trap now. I want you to set your BPM at 130, and trap is about 130 to 150. And also, when I'm saying these BPMs, you can also do them in half time as well. I'm just going to show you how to make a basic trap drum pattern, then you can build off the foundations of that. So what you want to do is get a hi-hat and press fill each two-step, same as before, but it'll sound a lot faster now because the BPM is increased. This is what it will sound like. So what you want to do with these kind of hi-hats is add rolls. Now you can add a roll like this just by clicking in one note and it'll do this. Or you can do it like this. So if you click on the hi-hat and go to piano roll, and if you grab one of the hi-hats like this and long it out, then press Control and right click to highlight it, and Alt and then U, you can control it with this little knob here and it will do automatic rolls. Then once you've done the rolls, you can also control the velocities and stuff like that. Now you can get really creative with this, so that's what I want you to do. That's a loose rule, but obviously there is no rules in music. And you normally want to do it before the snare. So let's add the snares in. So for these BPMs and for trap, you're adding the snare on the 3. So let's count it on the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. You hear it hitting on the 3, so let's add those snares in. So all you do is you put them on these notes here. Obviously you just count them in with the metronome for now, but you should always do it with your ear. Next, let's add in the kicks. So same as before, you want to listen to it with your ear, feel where the kick should go. This is the best advice, and it might sound silly, but you will always make something better if you think, I think it should go there because I hear it in my head going there. That will sound better than randomly clicking. Obviously you can sometimes, but if you have instant inspiration, always go with the instant inspiration. On this one, because the snares are on the 3, I normally just put the kicks in between those beats. So either before or just after. But yeah, that's how you make a basic trap pattern. Also, I just want to say quickly before we move on, that any of the techniques I'm saying in any of the genres can be applied. So that's why I'm not going over the same bits that I did in the boom bap, same bits in the trap, because you can take from all of them and apply to the new ones. So with drill, you want to be at 140 BPM, and the hi-hats kind of do this kind of like that. So it sounds like this. I'll show you it first and I'll show you how to make it. So you make the pattern like this. So you kind of want to put one there, skip one, put one here, then put one here. And then from this point it basically repeats. And then you'll hear people put ones here. Basically, if you haven't realized yet, with hi-hats, you want to just keep listening to them over and over and then fill the bits in with your ear. If you hear a roll at I cannot do the rolls. If you hear a roll, then you can add it in. Now I'm going to show you the full pattern that I've got. Now here's the full pattern with the changes I made just by using my ear. Because you know how to make rolls now, and I'll also show you these little bits here. All I did with these here, I basically just shifted them down rather than having them on the C. So pretty basic. Now the main thing to take notice of in drill that really makes it drill is the hi-hats and the 808s. Because you have 808 slides quite a bit in drill. Not as much as you used to, but you still have them. So you hear the slides there? It's really not difficult to make, let me show you. So for example here I've got the normal note, and then up here I've got the D up an octave. Now the longer the slide, which is this note here, and to make a slide you double click a note and you just click this little slide button here. So the longer that is at the top, the longer it will slide. Have a listen. So if I make it shorter, it'll be shorter. So if I mute the others, you'll be able to hear it in a better example. So if I long that out like that, it sounds a lot longer. Whereas I put it like that, it's much shorter. So in this example, I literally have the D, the C sharp, and the B, and then I copied it up an octave, and I literally just made these into slides. And again, all you do, double click, click that it'll be off, click it on, and that's how you make a slide. It's mainly the hi-hat patterns that really make the drill sound. And drill has evolved a lot. Sometimes it's a bit faster than 140 now. It's sometimes from 140 to like 150, or even sometimes a bit faster. But that's how you make basic drill. So this next one is an Afro beat, and these range from about 95 to about 110. Now it sounds like this. Now this is just the basic one because these can get really complex, but let me break it down. It's a bit weird because we have the snare where the kick is. So you have the snare here, 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 and then there. So if you were to break it down with the metronome like we've done before, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're basically having the kick hit on every beat. So you listen to it with the metronome, it's literally on every beat. Then you have the snare kind of in between it, making that groove. Let's hear it with just the snare. But yeah, feel free to copy that pattern as it's a bit more complex than the others, but that's how you do a basic Afrobeat rhythm. Okay, next I have some tasks for you to do, as well as breaking down the chords that you've been doing every day. Now I know this is a bit longer, but it will make you so much better as a producer if you can break down the drums of a beat and the melody and the chords. So I need you to add that to your Habitica as well as the rest of the stuff you've already got on there. So the chords and the melody that you made in the last one, and now I want you to add a drum pattern onto that. Now whatever genre you chose to make, you need to make similar drums to that. But obviously be creative and then submit it in the Discord for people to review and have a look at. And I'll have a look as well. Remember, start simple, add bounce, and then just polish it up. As well, I'll leave some free resources down below for drums and where you can download some more, and just some other free resources to help you improve. Alright, this is now the last section, so we're going to fully arrange a beat from scratch. So basically you should be at the point now where you've got your drums, your melody and your chords all together, and now we're going to arrange that beat that you've been making throughout the course. So I hope you've been paying attention to your Habitica stuff, because now we're going to put it all together. And you should have been making a few beats throughout this period of time as well, but now I'm going to show you how to fully arrange one and make it so you can actually sell it as well, because obviously you can't just sell a loop. You can sell loops of melodies and samples and stuff like that, but to sell a full beat it needs to be arranged in a way that somebody would actually rap on it. So first up, yours won't look like this on the side, because you'll have all of these sounds here, but you won't have that yet. They'll all be in one loop pattern. So what you want to do, you want to come up here, you need to right click on this, then go to split by channel. And when you click that, all your sounds are going to come on the side here. And now you can actually arrange them. So I want you to have a listen to the one I've got here first, and then I'll go through on how to do it. So first, when you're starting out with the intro, you don't want a lot going on. You can go straight into it. A lot of songs do just start straight away, but for now, let's just have a little bit of an intro. Now, if you want a tip on how to keep attention for a bit longer, a lot of YouTube type beats, you probably would have noticed this, they make the intro go on for about 30 seconds. I don't really do that because I don't do YouTube type beats, but if you are going to do that, make your intro about 30 seconds before it goes in, because that way people are waiting to hear the drop, and that's why a lot of them do it. Obviously, that time does vary as well. So I want that as my intro. And then for your hook, you pretty much want everything in at the same time. To do what I'm doing, by the way, just press Control and Shift and then click on all the ones down here and it will just grab them all. Bring them all in. Typically a hook is 8 bars and I've got an 8-bar hook here and an 8-bar intro as well. I normally do a shorter one. In fact, let's do a shorter one. So normally I just do a 4-bar intro. But like I said, if you're doing YouTube type beats, you do want the intros to be a bit longer. There's no really rules to this, obviously. Same throughout the course, there's no rules, but if you're not making YouTube type beats, make a short intro. If you're just going to show them to people, you know, you want them to hear the drop pretty quickly. So for the hook, we've got a lot of energy. Now for the verse, you want to bring it back down to then build it back up. With arrangement, you're almost playing with emotions. So for the verse, we can have something like this. Leaves way more space for an artist. Now the verse, typically you want about 16 bars. Now if you were going to make a bridge, I'd make a bridge something like this. So bring one of these over. Make your bridges about 4 bars. With a bridge, I like to have some of the melodies in there, or sometimes you can even do an effect as well. And then from bridge back into the hook. But in this one, I'm not having that, so delete that, and then let's have another verse. Now, if you've noticed in the verse, what I've done is I've taken some bits out. Like at the beginning, I don't have the hi-hats coming straight away. I've just cut them here. And to cut them, all you do, click this little tool here, slice it like that. If you hold shift, it'll make sure so it can't go off grid. Intro, hook, verse, then hook, and then outro. And on this one, it comes to about 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Alright, and next, I want to show you a bit of mixing as well. I'm not going to go too in-depth in this, because obviously mixing could be its whole own course. I want to show you some tips that someone taught me that have really helped. So I'm just going to loop the hook here. As well, to solo something, by the way, just right-click on something on the mixer, and it will solo it, so you can only hear that one thing. And now turn it up, and as you turn it up, I want you to stop when you think, yeah, I think that sounds right in my ear. This is how you level things, because it's just easier to do that based on feeling, rather than going off numbers and stuff, because it'll be different for each time you're making a beat. Now I want this at the forefront of the track, so I want it to be quite loud. About there, and then second sound. And then let's just go one drum at a time, so let's start with the kick. Also remember, always have a soft clipper on your master. I went over it before, but always have a soft clipper on there. You don't need to touch any of the settings either, just leave it as it is. Now you want your kick, depending on the genre, to be just where it's clipping. Not too much so it's distorting. You want it to just be punching through the mix and hitting hard. But obviously it depends on what you're making, because sometimes you might want a softer kick. But in this instance, I want a hard hitting kick. But yeah, that's how you basically level a beat. Alright, some last little tips before we finish this. So to actually export a beat, it's dead simple. Just go up to File here, then go to Export, click Wave File, name it, and save it where you want to save it. Press Save. Now you'll have all these different settings here. You can just copy what I've got here, but I'm going to go through them quickly. So you want it as 16-bit here, stereo, a wave file, MP3. Obviously, choose which one you want. A wave or MP3 is okay. I don't know what the rest of these do, so just ignore them. Have all these settings on here, and then you want the resampling rate as high as your computer can handle it, basically. And then all you do is press Start, and that's it, and it'll export. Now, another little tip, if you're sending stuff to another producer or someone wants loops or wants your full file, say if you've got a placement or you've sold a beat and they want the full stems, you can do this. So go to File. This depends if they actually have FL Studio though. If they don't, then it doesn't really apply, but chances are they will. So let's do this. Go to Export. Now click Zipped Loop Package instead. And do that. Same thing. And it will literally save everything in a WinRAR file or a zip file. And that means then they can literally unpackage the exact FL file that you have here. Obviously, if they don't have your plugins, then they won't be able to access that. That's why if you turn everything into WAV files before you send it, it's much easier. Now to do that, all you do is literally just click on something, press Control, Alt, and then C, and that consolidates it. You just press Start, and it will turn it into a WAV file like that. And that way they don't need any of the plugins because it's all just there. And that's how you stem something out. But yeah, that is it. You now have made full beats. You've stuck to the course, and you've actually completed it. So what I would say from now is keep the Habitica things. Keep the things where you're making full beats every day. The one thing that you need to change now is, obviously, instead of just making melodies and loops, unless you want to do that, you need to be making full beats with drums and arranging it every single day. And within 30 days, if you stick to this, you'll be a much better producer. But yeah, thank you for sticking with me, guys, and I'll see you later.